Welcome back to another episode of Sunday episode of Straight Facts. I'm joined by Wax Online. How are you, mate? Good. Good to have you. It's good to have you here. It really, really is. And there's so much to delve into tonight. Viewers, I know you're intrigued. We're talking Lisandro Martinez. Personal terms will not be a problem. That means, by the way, that they've been agreed to broadly by the player for both Arsenal and Manchester United. More on that a little bit later in the show. We're talking the Ronaldo outrage as he wants to leave Man United, and United fans are turning on him. The media are turning on Man United. I think everybody's fallen for. Everyone's at a howler when it comes to the PR behind this. We're talking Youri Tielemans and his final stages. Personal terms agreed. When is that bid coming from Arsenal? And we're also going to look at the Gnabry news again. There's newspapers talking of £40 million bids that Arsenal, that Man United might make, Man City circling as well. We're going to delve into that much, much more. Plus speak about the Frenkie de Jong situation as well, which again, for the past 24 hours, Man United fans have been pulling their hair out, and I refuse to do that after only just completing my surgery. But how are you, my friend? It's good to have you on. Good to have you on another one of our shows.
Yeah, man, it's good, man. I'm very, very well. Thank you for asking, man, and just getting on, man. I just literally come back from football, literally about 15 minutes ago. I went to jump in the shower first, but I thought I can't be late. But yeah,
right.
man,
Right,
can't complain, man. Can't complain.
Through the cameras, can't smell through the cameras. You know what I mean? So, all good, my guy. Listen, it's been an interesting summer so far. It really has, and of course, this big breaking news yesterday. And it wasn't a shock to some, maybe it was a little bit to others, but Cristiano Ronaldo wants to leave Manchester United. What's your take on this? The reason that he's given has very much centered around him not being happy with Manchester United's transfer window and the fact that he wants Champions League football. What's your take on this?
To be fair, I mean, I think Man United probably will keep Ronaldo. Based on the stories, based on what's being said, Ronaldo's ambitious, clearly, and he wants Man United to follow suit, and I think because your transfers are taking time, of course, you're identifying players that we're going to talk about, but, you're not active as Ronaldo would like the team to be, especially after having such a poor season, finishing 6th. I think Ronaldo was expecting top 4. It didn't happen, so now he's expecting Man United to act like the club that they are. They're a big club, so he wants them. I think he just wants them to be active, in terms of getting the right players in. But, I think Man United probably will keep him. I think he will be able to get convinced by Ten Hag to stay. I mean, Ten Hag's an incredible manager, and you guys are lucky to actually have such a qualified manager. If you look at his numbers, he's done very, very well. Also, Arsenal fans will talk about Mikel Arteta being with Pep Guardiola. He was with Pep Guardiola over at Bayern Munich, so he's definitely learned a lot. And I think once he starts to establish his identity on that team, Man United are going to be playing good football again. And to be honest, I think he's going to sit down with Ronaldo, convince him to stay, and tell him, look, he's got one more year left in his contract. Just work it out. Do you know what I mean? Let's give it a go. Do you know what I mean? So
listen, I completely get you on that. And listen, I'm not angry with Ronaldo at all. He's got maybe 1, maybe 2 years left at the highest level. We're not in the Champions League. And I don't think the transfer window is too much to do with it. I think the transfer window is very good PR from the Ronaldo camp. They know that a lot of United fans are angry about the transfer window. So rather than just saying, I want to go and play Champions League football, which would generate the reaction of, well, you also had a bad period last year, which led to us not making the Champions League. It's outrageous that you go. However, they're putting on this transfer window stuff. So the transfer window is triggering Man United fans. If Ronaldo says he's also angry with the transfer window, it will make them side with him and go, we completely understand where you're coming from. At the same time, the club have already tried to protect themselves by leaking today that senior people at the club have already, after a few weeks of him being at the club, realized it was a mistake to bring Ronaldo in. What that then does, it triggers all the people that originally said he shouldn't have come in. So you get these two groups of fans arguing over the the non-story element of this. He just wants to, in the twilight of his career, play Champions League football. If he was honest, like completely honest, and just said that, I'd have very little issue. I don't really have an issue with him saying it's a transfer window. I'm just seeing through it. It's a very convenient thing to complain about. Who did he expect us to have signed by now with a new team that's only been in place for 6 weeks?
Yeah, exactly.
How many Champions League quality players did he expect us to have signed within that 6-week period of a new regime coming in? It's a nonsense to me. And the fact that Man United fans have fallen for this big time, both the Glazer story of, oh, we all knew it was a mistake to bring him back now anyway, and him saying it's all about transfers. It's like you're missing the fundamental in the middle, which is normal. A 37-year-old who probably has 1 year left, really wants to go. And if Lewandowski, by the way, was staying at Bayern Munich, I don't think this would be happening. I think he's seen an opening, an opportunity to go, I could get a couple of years in Germany, slightly slower paced league.
Yeah, makes sense.
Be a Golden Boot winner there, be a league winner there, maybe even a Champions League winner again. It just makes total sense why Ronaldo's doing what he's doing. And the outrage from people over it, for me, is what I find frustrating. I've even seen Man United fans that said we had no system, no style, no philosophy under Ollie, state that Ronaldo was the reason that Ollie's system, philosophy and style failed. You couldn't make it up, Wax. You couldn't make it up. Literally, it's an absolute madness. But of course, the knock-on effect from this could, if he leaves, could be another player that's heavily linked to Manchester United in Frenkie de Jong. And interestingly, with Frenkie de Jong, it's almost this kind of point of the story has changed on him in the last sort of 24 hours, essentially. What's kind of being reported by some, Fabrizio has said that Barca and Man United are really, really close to a full agreement for Frenkie de Jong. Laporte's negotiation is only negotiating with United, even though the same guy said that multiple teams are in for him and everything else. The other elements here are saying that Barcelona will not sell Frenkie de Jong if he agrees to lower his salary considerably. And what we're led to believe is that if he takes a pay cut in excess of 50%, he may stay now at Barcelona. How do you see this one playing out?
Oh, you know what? This is a really weird one. It's like a little circus, isn't it? You know. Look, he's obviously come out and confirmed that he wants to stay at Barcelona. He said he loves Barcelona. He's kind of, demonstrated, how he feels about it. So, I mean, it's a really tough one. A lot of people would expect, with Ten Hag's a relationship. I mean, he was basically the heart of Ten Hag's team at Ajax at one point, and everything kind of went through De Jong. You'd think, yeah, maybe he can convince him. Maybe he can say, come and join Arsenal and join Man United, sorry, not Arsenal, wish. But yeah, come in and join Manchester United and, be a main player. I think obviously with De Jong, he's familiar with the philosophy, familiar with the way he wants to play. So that's the reason why Man United are on it, and the reason why I feel they can convince him to join. But I don't know. It's Barcelona in a weird position at this moment in time financially. I heard they're speaking with Dembele to renew his contract and reduce his salary by 40%. They're in a financial mess over there, so it's very, very difficult. And they've also got players that they can't even register. I'm not too sure if they've been able to free up availability for those guys to be registered, but they're in a situation and they need money. So for some part of me believes Manchester United will be able to pull De Jong out the bag.
Well, people have got to look at this. His contract is £354,000 a week.
A lot of money.
It expires in 4 years' time.
Wow.
So if he does this, then do you know what? I'll actually take my hat off to De Jong and say, not only does he love Barcelona, he is dedicated to them like I've never seen a human being dedicated to another living thing. Because that means he's going to take a pay cut of £150,000+ about £175,000 for the next 4 years. The Dembele situation was very different because his contract ran out. It was either you renew this or you don't have a club to play for. I would be beyond shocked. Take Man United out of the equation. Forget that we're the club that he may go to. Does anybody really see him reducing his salary from £350,000 a week to about somewhere in the region of £150,000 a week for the next 4 years to remain at Barcelona? I just don't like. He's got 4 years. He doesn't need to. He can just go. No, I'll stay here and play and pay me my damn money. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
he doesn't need to sign a new deal to stay. Like, this notion that's being pushed out. Like, again, if he really loves the club, and they say to him, like, we need you to take this pay cut so that you can stay at the club and we can buy other players and develop things, maybe. But at the same time, I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. It's never happened before.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all. And that's all that's really being pulled on here. The fact that, you know, look, I know a lot of people don't want to believe it, but United have agreed the base fee. A lot of journalists have said that the personal terms, and there's a new phrase this summer. 2 summers ago, it was just personal terms were agreed, and a lot of people moaned about it because what does that really mean? Last summer, it was personal terms will be no problem. Now it's moved on to the best saying of all. It's a bit more complex, but it's personal terms are expected to not be problematic. But for me, they all mean the same thing. Like,
exactly.
Of course, Erik ten Hag has spoken to Frenkie de Jong in the past 6 weeks and knows he'd be willing to join. There is no way that we're going to go through all this heartache with Barca, sit down with Frenkie, and then Frenkie goes, but I don't want to come.
It doesn't make any sense. Because even in this day and age, you know, football's changed. It's like you're agreeing personal terms with a player before you actually put the bid in. Because otherwise, you could go through that process of trying to bid, get one rejected, next one rejected, then you finally get the third one in, then the player doesn't want to come to your club. It doesn't make any sense. So Man United clearly know that De Jong is interested in joining them. He, obviously for the cameras and for the fans of Barcelona, clearly wants to demonstrate his loyalty to Barcelona. Do you know what I mean? That's the reason why he said, oh, no, I want to stay. This is my dream, so on and so forth. But in the back of his mind, is if that money is actually going to affect him, he's jumping ship. He can quickly earn 300 grand at Manchester United, especially with Pogba gone and Mata gone and Matic gone. You lot have just freed up so much wages. You've got over 500, 600 grand per week to spend on players. It's looking pretty positive over there.
Well, financially, I think so. What's intriguing is a few people are saying in the comments that lots of players took pay cuts. As far as I'm aware, they didn't. Not the big players. They deferred their payments. That's why Ronaldo, I think Messi, is still owed about 100 million. Gerard Piqué is owed about 50 million, and they want their money.
80 million. I heard 80 million for Piqué, and I'm like, wow. How can you be in debt to one player for 80 million? That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why I say to Man United fans, don't panic at this moment. Of course, there is a chance that he takes his pay cut permanently for the next 4 years. Doesn't defer, but permanently takes a pay cut. There is a chance that Barca pull out of the deal with Man United until it's complete. It's why I always say done deals, personal terms, they're a part of the process. Until it's complete, there's always a chance and opportunity for it to fall through. We've seen that with Willian. We've seen it with Mikel. We saw it just a few days ago with Tyrell Malacia. Like, Leon are absolutely fuming because he agreed terms. The fee was a done deal between the two football clubs. And then at the 11th hour, the player's gone, actually, United are in for me and I'm going elsewhere. Of course, that can happen at any moment. And football fans know this. Yeah. But some of the things I'm hearing, and it's really interesting as well. There's a Spanish journalist who all summer has said Frenkie de Jong won't leave, and then last night said there's been a major turning of events, and people are see Terry, that means he's staying. I went, well, I tweeted the guy. I said, can you clarify what you mean? Because all summer you've said that he's staying. So for you to say it's changed direction, that can't mean he's staying. Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little bit confused by it all, but equally just remaining as calm as I can. Super chat here says, if Ronaldo leaves, I will be sad. But on the other hand, the Glazers will lose lots of money, brand value, sponsorship. It will be
demonic pleasure.
Demonic pleasure for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're right though. You know, Man United, obviously, we know that the Glazers are about making money. It's the same as KSE. They're about making money, yeah. And the Glazers, of course, are going to have a word with Ten Hag and try and, convince Ronaldo to stay to the end of his contract. Even, I mean, if he can convince him to stay, there's probably an opportunity there for Man United to try and renew that and extend it. I mean, would you personally, as a Man United fan, want to see Ronaldo stay longer than the next season or two?
No, I mean, I absolutely wouldn't. And I love Ronaldo for what he's done for this club. But I spoke about it last night and I stand by it again. With how much he earns in a year, we could spend around £60 million on a striker and pay him £250,000 a year. Year one costs on that £60 million deal is about 25 million, including wages, including agent fees, which is what we're earmarking to pay Ronaldo. No matter how good Ronaldo does this year, next year he's gone anyway. We've got 1 year left out of him. I keep saying this to Man United fans. We were never, ever fixing all our problems this summer. The fact that Ronaldo leaving creates another issue, it's not really that big of a deal because we've just started a rebuild, which to get us back to being ready to challenge for titles, if indeed it works, is 2 to 3 years away. So there's going to be some bumps in the road. Man United fans have got to... Man United fans have requested everything that's going on right now to be moaning and crying about it and not being able to take the banter from rivals it's just a little bit weak from my point of view. So listen, I love Ronaldo. I love what he's done. But the only caveat to it is as long as where that money's invested improves Manchester United. And maybe they look at it and go, listen, we're not going to sign another striker. We're going to wait until next summer. But let's use that money and go out and buy another top quality midfield.
How much money are we talking about, do you reckon?
Well, I think you'd sell Ronaldo probably for a menial fee, 5, 6, 7 million pounds, something like that. I don't think it would cost lots and lots of money because of his age.
10
However,
million max,
he's freeing up that 26 million pound of his salary that is obviously earmarked for him that would help United. And say you buy a player for 60 mil, year one that only cost you 12 million because you pay it in installments. So 12 million on the salary. That way you can pay the player anything between 200 to 300,000 pound a week. So you could sign a top star for that kind of money. But it's about reinvesting it correctly. And that's the only concern I have is, United don't have a rich sort of history of investing their money right in those moments. But
100%. I think, you definitely will need to obviously bring in a top striker if Ronaldo does leave. But I think, again, like I said, like I already reiterated, I think, with Ten Hag, he's going to want someone, a leader, a real leader. We know Ronaldo is a leader. Do you know what I mean? He can lead, score goals. And I think he has that influence on the players to a certain degree. So I think Ten Hag potentially will try and convince him to stay remainder of his year and see how the season goes. He's going to bring good football. So Man United fans get happy because I know about Ten Hag anyway. So just a few signings. I mean, that's why he wants De Jong so much because he knows De Jong will be the heartbeat of that team in terms of he's dictating the tempo of the game, the way he's controlling the game. And I think it'll be incredible for you guys, De Jong, to be quite fair, linking up with Fernandez. He'll be someone that can pick out passes for the runs of Jadon Sancho. I mean, you've got something good there, to be quite fair. So if it happens.
Man United fans have also been triggered by this idea that the manager believes that there's a lot of good players already in this squad. The same Man United fans that without Ronaldo, without Varane, without Jadon Sancho said that Poch would win the league with this team. So that's why I can't take the what I call the fungus United fans properly. Like they're always negative, and then they hypocrisize. There's one thing changing your mind, but they haven't come out and addressed and said, actually, I was wrong. This squad was nowhere near good enough. They've never addressed me. Well, I get loads of things wrong because I'm a football fan. We all do. I go, I was wrong about that. My opinions changed because of these reasons. That's why those guys make me laugh. Viewers, make sure you're smashing that like button for us right now. We're going to speak a little bit of. We're going to speak around Lisandro Martinez and a big update from Ornstein and the like on that coming up on the show soon, so stay with us. Tom here says, it's sad that fans are low-key happy that Ronaldo is leaving because it will hurt United and the Glazers, but you can't blame them that the club is rotten through its core. Of course, and I don't blame Man United fans for that feeling at all. I'm not about to bring... It's not about to bring new players. It's about having elite mentality in the dressing room. We all know crap mentality players have. They blame one another. Look, I know a lot of people are like having a go at the players here. So, they're leaving. Ronaldo wants to leave because the other players are unhappy. The other players are this, the other players are that. That's what Ten Hag's here to fix. Ronaldo was never going to be here for the complete fixing of that situation because he's got 1 year left in his contract. It's not a big deal. We know we've got attitude problems. We know we've got mentality problems. We know we've had leaking issues. That's what Ten Hag's here to fix. He's not going to fix it all after 1 week of training. Like, relax a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time. Now, of course, mate, one of the big bits of news that's kind of been circulating now for a few weeks has really kind of come to a head in the last few days. And it is thought, and as Mr. Ornstein writes here, that Arsenal have scheduled a meeting next week as the Lisandro Martinez battle continues. Man United and Arsenal are both think he's keen, and personal terms are no issue. This is also backed up by Fabrizio Romano, who has said pretty much the same thing, that the camp have been clear that he wants to join the Premier League. He wants to be a Premier League player. As we know, when journalists say that personal terms are going to be no problem or they're not problematic, we all know what that means in terms of code. That very much is the players happy to join with discussed personal terms. The real interesting thing for me is Arsenal are saying to him, we want to make you a left back. Man United is saying to him, we want to make you a centre back. How do you see this one playing out? Do you think you can beat Manchester United to his signature?
It's, you know, it'd be a tough one. I reckon we can potentially beat them, but you know, I just think the fact that he would rather play as a centre back over being a left back would probably give Man United the edge. Of course, the relationship as well goes without saying, but I think that's the stumbling block for Arsenal. You know, to be quite fair, I don't really know where Arsenal are at with it still. When they say, you know, booking another meeting, a meeting to talk about what? I'm not too sure. Because it's like we've been going back and forth with Ajax for 3 bids. It's like with our 3rd bid now. So clearly we know what the money is. It's just cough up the money, you know, and speak to the player. If the player is interested in the vision, he's going to join the club. But I just, for some reason, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans feel this way right now as well, especially pulling out, especially with the Rafinha deal and Arsenal pulling out of that. I think a lot of people are now thinking, you know what, he's going to join Man United. He's going to go to Man United. He's got the relationship with Ten Hag. He understands the philosophy. He wants to be a part. He wants to be a centre back, and he's definitely going to get that opportunity to do so at Manchester United over Arsenal. I think he's more better in that central area anyway. He's a player that lacks pace. He's not really a fast player. So playing him as a left back, I don't know how he's going to make the overlaps and get back if we are then, hit with it by the counter attack. I'm not too sure how that would work, because I do know we like to play with our fullbacks pushing up the channels and making those runs. So, I just feel, in my opinion, I think Man United are going to win the race for this one, to be quite fair, man.
Look, I understand why Arsenal fans feel the way they do. I think that the Ten Hag element is going to be really key. I think what's encouraging for Arsenal, I mean, Arsenal will put themselves into a position, though, because they pushed via sort of the tier ones and the credible journalists that this is a priority. This is the sort of priority. This is a player that is right up there, like one of our main transfer targets this summer. They can't just kind of roll over and let their belly be tickled because Man United are in this race. They have to now run the risk of the quote unquote being rejected, or Man United having more pull, and the banter that kind of comes along with it from a fan point of view. With Rafinha, it was a deal you could step back from, because it was a deal that wasn't expected. It was a deal that only really presented itself because of Barca's financial situation. So it was easy to walk away from. It wasn't an area that any Arsenal fan was like begging to see improved. Where with this deal, because you put out it's a priority, it's been in the works for many, many months, it almost kind of makes it, you have to go toe to toe with Manchester United. I think what I find interesting is that, just from what I've read, that Ten Hag has spent a lot of time developing and nurturing him into being a centre back. So if Arsenal were really offering him a position as one of their left backs, I just don't see why he joins to become a left back when he really wants to be a centre back. That's the element of this deal that doesn't make sense.
I mean, I think Arsenal have kind of realised that this one is going to Man United, and the reason why I say that is because we're looking at Grimaldo. Grimaldo is a left back that plays for Benfica, worth about 8 million euros. So I think Arsenal have kind of realised that they've probably lost the race. There was an article that came out a day ago, 2 days ago, where it said Arsenal have pulled out of this race. Then there's this, what you've just brought up and put on the screen, suggesting it's very conflicting, to be quite fair. I don't know what to believe these days, but I think one of the reasons why we're looking at Grimaldo is because we've realised that Martinez is probably going to join Man United and prefers to play as a centre-back, of course. Do you know what I mean? But the Grimaldo guy, good player. I think looking at his stats, obviously you've got to do the eye test as well, but looking at the numbers for a left-back, he's done more than 20 assists in the past 3 seasons. Do you know what I mean? It's a very, very good left back.
Yeah, and look, it's an intriguing one to me, as you say, and a lot of people are saying you should go after this Grimaldo. You should go after a natural left back. Not somebody that left back and DM are very much where Lisandro can cover.
Yeah.
Again, unless there's something that Arsenal are not telling people here. So unless Arsenal was sitting there and saying, actually, we're willing to let Gabriel move on, or actually we want to improve on the centre backs that we already have.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to release. Like, I can understand Arsenal not wanting to release that information. They don't, especially if it's we want to improve on our centre backs. Because if you go for Lisandro and you're saying we want to make him the main centre back next to Ben White, and then you don't land him, that's a bit of a knock of confidence to the likes of Gabriel or William Saliba that are returning. That you don't fancy us, you fancy it. So I kind of I don't think he'll cover at left back if need be, but I think you're looking at him the same as Man United as a progressive, because he's a very progressive, very much a ball playing centre back of a very high level. I was showing some statistics the Athletic put out to show how much he progresses the ball compared to other defenders from his position, and it's very, very, very good indeed. But from my point of view, I kind of feel a little bit like this fight could still go either way. And I think this is going to come down to, yes, partially money. Yes, there's the Erik Ten Hag pull. But I think the one advantage that Arsenal have, and I'm not ignoring this, and I don't think it's right to ignore this, the fact that you are, and I know you're not necessarily somebody that buys into the Arteta rebuild, but you are 3-4 years in to this rebuild. You are in a process where your team's getting better. There is a more harmonious feel at the football club. There is a more togetherness. And I think you just essentially run out of steam towards the end of last season, rethinking it and now looking back. Where Man United, it's almost very much, yes, I know Ten Hag's going to be there. And yes, they might sign a few other players, but no player joining Man United has any idea whether things will actually improve. We can have a good summer. We can say all the right things in press conferences. Pre-season could go brilliantly. But when games start, that's when you really start to realize, are we moving in the right direction? Are we regressing? And I think a lot of, for me as a Man United fan, I'm not getting ahead of myself on this because Arsenal, Man United might be made the favourites now. Most of the tier ones are saying Man United are leading, they're advanced and they're leading slightly in front of Arsenal. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a here we go tomorrow and it's Arsenal that have struck the deal. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't say, oh my God, I can't believe this. How has this happened? This is not peak Man United. This is us starting again. From an elite level point of view, we're starting at rock bottom again, which is why Christian Eriksen, he's happy with the £150,000 a week he's been offered, but he's deliberating. It's why the £250,000 a week that's been offered to De Jong, as happy as he is with it and as open as he is to joining United, he's happy with the personal terms on paper. The reason that he hasn't 100% signed off and completed is just because he's deliberating, and he's absolutely right to do that. And that's the difference between a player agreeing personal terms and signing the thing, and getting it over the line. And I think that Arsenal are in a slightly better position because they can show that, look, this is where we started 3 years ago. Look where we are now in the trajectory. You're going to take us to that next level. Man United, it's all very much, well, we've got a plan and we're hoping to get there. And if you're Arsenal, you're going into that agent's ear and you're saying, listen, this is the fourth rebuild at Man United in 9 years. Right?
For real.
You are going to sell it that way around. So I think Arsenal have a tremendous chance in this. I really do.
I mean, for me, it's just, I think it's just to Ten Hag. Ten Hag can pull him in. He can get him in. He's managed him. He's been coaching him. They've been winning together. They've won trophies together. The vision there is a bit more sellable. And I think based on that, he'll be inspired to join Manchester United, as well as he gets the chance to play in the role that he actually wants to play. At Arsenal, like you said, it could be something they're not telling us. Maybe one of the players are getting sold. We don't know. But I'm thinking, my understanding of Martinez and understanding how he plays, I'm thinking, hold on, but why would we need him if we've just signed Ben White £50 million? 50 million. Does he not believe in Ben White maybe? Or is it Saliba that's going to be shipped off back to Marseille? We've got enough centre-backs. I don't think we need any more. Do you know what I mean? So it just doesn't make any sense. There's nothing in the pipeline for any of our players. So therefore, it just doesn't make any sense to sign this player. We need a proper left-back. And I think Arsenal have now turned their attentions to Ronaldo. I think that's the guy.
Do you know the centre-back thing with Arsenal? I will say this, and I know a lot of Gooners don't like hearing it, but I'll always speak things as I see them. Like when you read a tweet from Fabrizio, you read an article, and it's like Saliba is happy, the manager wants him, they see a future, but then there's like a little line of, but a big bid could change that. It's
Yeah,
almost,
exactly.
but right now, unless it was a world record bid, you're not selling Saka. Like
Yeah.
it's not happening. You're not selling unless someone said there's 200 million pounds. You're not selling Saka. Unless someone said there's 120 million pounds. You're not selling Partey. I'm not saying they're worth that much, but it would take something stupid. No one's bidding that kind of money for Saliba. I feel though, the team when there's 50 million for Saliba, I think Arsenal would accept. I think Arteta would say, I'm happy with that. Gabriel, very early in the window, was linked with a move to Juve. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that Arsenal wanted to sell then, but you suddenly bring in Martinez into that position, and then remember, we've still got, there's been a month of the window, there's 2 months left. Then if Juve knock on the door and start talking about 35, 40, 50 million pounds, maybe Arsenal turn around and say, well, we've improved on Gabriel with Martinez, therefore we're happy to let him go. I know that people say, no, Arteta wants 4 centre-backs, 4 top-quality centre-backs, and that's what we're going to have. And that very much could be the train of thought. But I just don't see why you'd prioritise a player who is a centre-back to become your left-back when the player wants to be a centre-back. There's something in this that sort of, again, I'm reading between the lines, and it's just fan theory in my head. But there's just something about it. Like, you know, sometimes you get when you've left the house, you're like, I know I've left something. I know I forgot something at home. That feeling. But that's why I think Arsenal have got a good chance in this, because a backup left-back for Tierney for 40-odd million pounds, why is that a priority? There's lots of other left-backs you could buy that are cheaper that would be good backups. It doesn't make sense. There's something about it where I think you want him to be one of your main centre-backs, the same as I think Man United want him to be one of their main centre-backs. It
wouldn't make sense. I was going to say, it wouldn't make sense for us to sign Lisandro Martinez as a left-back and have him as the backup left-back. That doesn't make any sense. The guy's not a backup. He's an important, indispensable player. He wants to play week in, week out. So again, that's why I don't know. And then again, if we're not getting rid of a centre-back, we're not targeting another one. I mean, that kind of takes us on to Youri Tielemans, to be quite fair, because you want to talk about Youri Tielemans, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Youri Tielemans is an interesting one. So again, we speak to Ben Jacobs a lot on the terrace, and these are Ben Jacobs' words, and I want to read these out. So Ben Jacobs has said, and I quote, let me just get that up in front of me on Tielemans. Tielemans is fully sold on the Arsenal move. Because Man United keep being linked with him. So he says, if Man United were to bid for Tielemans, they will only get him if Arsenal decide that's fine. If Arsenal walk away, go ahead, take the player. It's not really a head-to-head. Personal terms have been agreed. All that needs to happen is an official bid. But the interesting thing is, there's been no official bid. And are you as a Gooner getting concerned that you won't get him now? You will walk away. Like, what's your feeling as an Arsenal fan about this?
When I first heard about the Youri Tielemans bid, or interest, shall I say, sorry, I thought, hold on, there's no way we're going to bring in Youri Tielemans and still have a player like Granit Xhaka or Thomas Partey. They're the first team players at the moment. One of those players are not being dropped for Youri Tielemans, and we're not going to bring Youri Tielemans in for him to be a benchman. So I've been saying this for the past month. The only way we're going to get Youri Tielemans, I know that everything's all been agreed. Youri Tielemans wants to join, but the only way Arsenal are going to get him is if they sell Granit Xhaka. Now people say, "Oh no way, Granit Xhaka's the main player." But listen, Granit Xhaka, no one's ever seen Granit Xhaka sit on the bench. The guy is definitely not sitting on the bench. Youri Tielemans is not coming from Leicester to Arsenal to sit on the bench. Thomas Partey is not sitting on the bench. So who sits on the bench? Do you understand? Yeah, we've got Lokonga, we've got Mohamed El Neni, they sit on the bench. So therefore, the only way we are going to get Youri Tielemans is if we sell Granit Xhaka. Now, I think the reason why Arsenal have kind of put that on the back burner in terms of Youri Tielemans is because there's nothing in the pipeline for Xhaka. We can't make that move for Youri Tielemans until Xhaka is gone, or until we've got something confirmed for the player. Of course, Arsenal were looking at alternatives because they knew Roma's interested, Bayern Leverkusen have been interested, so there is a possibility that Granit Xhaka could leave. Let's preempt this. Let's get everything wrapped up with Youri, but we'll just pull it on hold, knowing that everything's agreed, just so we see what happens with Granit Xhaka. But that's the process. That's the reason why we haven't made that official bid, because we've still got Granit Xhaka here. And obviously, due to the relationship that he's built with Granit, you don't want to bring Youri Tielemans in and then start trying to make it look obvious that you're trying to force Xhaka out the door, because that will create disharmony. And Xhaka might not even go out the door; he might stay. So now you've got, do you know what I mean? So he has to play it smartly before he can actually get that deal done.
Look, I hear that, and I think as Deshane says here, I mean, depth is going to be key. At the club, I'm intrigued by it. I understand wanting to move individuals on, maybe, and I know there's been kind of some links to Granit Xhaka. It all depends about the development of. I think the development of some of your youngsters is going to be key to this as well, because like Patino, a lot of people rate him and wanting to get some more game time. Maybe he needs a loan. He looked a little bit lightweight when he played with the pros last year. Obviously, like Sambi, there's a lot of promise about this young lad. You know, you speak to most experts out of Belgium, and they absolutely rave about him.
But he was a captain for Anderlecht. I mean, at such a young age, it proves that he's definitely a good, got something up there going on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and there's loads there. Hang on a minute here, ladies and gentlemen. Some breaking news to bring you. A confirmation here. Frenkie de Jong situation. Man United and Barca agree 65 million fee, but still discussing the structure. Personal terms, he says, never discussed yet. I always disagree with him on that point. Frenkie's priority was always to stay at Barca. Salary reduction, very unlikely option on Frenkie's side. I mean, again, like, this is what I say about journalistic reports. I speak to
Fabrizio Romano saying that.
Yeah, he just tweeted that now. Like, and this is what I said to a lot of people. The only difference between what Fabrizio has said to what other journalists that I've been speaking to have said is the personal terms element. That's literally the only bit. You know, and there are lots of other journalists that have said it's not non-problematic. There won't be any problem. Some verified journalists have said they are agreed. Of course, agreed in principle, because you can't sign until you're actually in the room to sign the paperwork. Yeah, that's the only bit that I don't agree with Fabrizio on. And the reason I don't agree, and it's not that he's wrong, he's only telling you what he's been told. The reason that I say that is because I just don't believe United would have gone this far without knowing that it was going to be okay. It just that's how we approach every other transfer. But as I've said already on this show, the fees agreed. I did not see the salary reduction being likely at all, because there's 4 years left on his deal. He's not exactly. People have got to understand. Say Frenkie de Jong does. He's got a lot of money, right? But let's just say he does that, and 2 weeks into the start of the season gets a career-ending injury. What? All that money for him and his family for the rest of his life, it doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I'm not surprised to see Fabrizio Romano say all of that. And the majority of what Fabrizio says, and this is what I say to people when it comes to journalists, don't listen to just one journalist. That's stupid, in my opinion. And that isn't a dig at that journalist. It's, well, what does Laurie Whitwell say? What does Fabrizio say? What does Ornstein say? You know, what does Tom McDermott say? What does Ben Jacobs say? What does Dean Jones say? I literally listen, talk to, and speak with 7, 8, 9 journalists, and then I kind of bring it all together and go, right, the vast majority are saying that the fee must be a fact because everybody's reported that fee has been agreed. The majority are saying that a reduction in salary is unlikely. So you kind of can orchestrate your own opinion based on lots of information. But what people tend to do is they'll fluctuate to the journalist who tells a story that best suits their wants. So they'll fluctuate to a journalist. I share Fabrizio stuff all the time. Like, me and Fabrizio have got a deal together, you know, like I share his videos, we share his links. It's all good. But it's like, I don't agree with everything he says, mainly because I've heard other things from other people. But yeah, that's it. Good. Thank you very much for the heads up on that. I did think it'd be very unlikely that he'd take that wage cut, but we will see what happens. I love this comment here. This Terry guy is so deluded, chooses to believe what he wants. It's not about believing what I want. Believing what I want would be if every journalist said no personal terms have been discussed. You know, I would not say personal terms have been discussed. I'm just going with the body of weight of evidence. And like I've said to many people before, I've said it on every transfer stream for 3 years. When they say personal terms won't be a problem, personal terms are not expected to be problematic, personal terms should be no issue, that's because they already know. Why? Because the initial contact is done via intermediaries, and they have a clear... The only transfer I've seen in the past 3 years where a club went to the player after getting an agreement with the club was Arsenal chasing Vlahovic. It's the only one I've seen. You know, every other deal Man United are doing this summer, personal terms have been discussed first, then they start negotiating with the club. And equally, when you go back to the original conversations about De Jong, don't forget the original reports. It was all Ten Hag's working tirelessly to convince the player. Then you were told he's turned the player's head. How can personal terms not have been discussed if Ten Hag has convinced him to join Man United? It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm not saying Fabrizio is lying. Far from it. He's telling you what he's been told. But when you read the vast body of work surrounding this deal, there's been conversations. In those conversations, personal terms would have been discussed. Now, I don't do the semantics. Has he signed the paperwork? No. So some people go, then they're not agreed. I don't live in that kind of world. I live in the world that he said, yeah, that'll be fine. I'll accept that. That means it's done. You just need to get it completed. So yeah, sorry to rant on that, but there we go. It's funny as well because it was a report last night actually that his team inquired with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to rent his house, but the house has been earmarked for Erling Haaland. So Ole's renting his house out to Haaland. I think Van Dijk was renting it before Ole moved back to England. Like they obviously all these footballers just must buy all these big houses in Cheshire and then rent them out to each other. So there we go. Do me a favor, viewers, please smash that like and share button. Just under 4,100 people watching, which is absolutely amazing. 1,000 likes right now on Facebook, which is brilliant. Let's get the same right here, right now, live on YouTube. But we were talking Youri Tielemans actually before that breaking news, and I get why Arsenal fans have got this sense of worry, and I think especially if Lisandro doesn't happen, if Lisandro Martinez falls through, I get there'll be an element of panic because the talk was that you've called the interest to go and get Lisandro and to get Rafinha. And if you walk away after that situation with neither of those two players, I think that you find yourself in a situation where you have to go and get Youri Tielemans, because if you don't, and if I personally, I don't see this happening. I don't see Man United and I don't see Tottenham at this moment in time taking him away from Arsenal. But if the unthinkable was to happen, and tomorrow, out of the blue, there was a done deal with United, a done deal with Tottenham, and I'm just using them as hypothetical examples. I think the anger and frustration amongst Arsenal fans would absolutely explode because the deal's there. It's in front of you. Exactly. It needs to be signed off, you know?
Yeah, no, 100% agree, man. Arsenal fans are the easiest to go into meltdown. But, you know, to be quite fair, prior to being in this situation that we're kind of in now with not being too sure whether these deals are getting done or not, being linked with this one, that one, we expected, wow. Well, we thought that Arsenal were going to start moving all wild and active in the market. And, they got Jesus done, obviously. Fabio Vieira was, under the radar. And then we're seeing Tielemans, we're seeing this one. It's like, wow, everyone's excited. But, I think Arsenal have had kind of like a reality check, in terms of the players. Youri Tielemans can easily get done, but with Granit Xhaka not going out the door, Youri Tielemans ain't going anywhere. He ain't coming anywhere. I think we'll be looking at trying to fill in a left back role and maybe another winger, and that's all we can expect for the rest of for this window, to be quite honest.
So, what do you think if you don't get a buyer for Xhaka? Do you think you just won't sign Tielemans?
Yeah, 100%. We need to get a buyer for Xhaka in order for Tielemans to join the club. Because he's not coming to sit on the bench. And then you've got other players, we've got young players that are, Miguel Aziz and these, Charlie Patino. I'm hearing that Mikel Arteta wants to use them in the Europa League. If he wants to use them in the Europa League, where's the space for Xhaka, Mohamed, Thomas Partey, Lokonga? No one's got space, so we have to get rid of a centre midfielder in order for one to come in, unless we bring in a young player that won't mind sitting on the bench or playing some under 23 minutes,
Listen, I mean, I think you might do. Again, it's two things. If your club are serious, whether you get a buyer for Xhaka or not, Tielemans, or an equivalent, maybe you find someone better and you buy him instead. But Tielemans,
Fabian Ruiz, he's someone that I want. Fabian Ruiz is proper baller, man.
Arsenal absolutely have to go and get that done. They have to bring a player like that in, because I think if they end up missing out on not doing it, or if they come out and with some kind of, I don't know what you guys call it at Arsenal, we call it Glazonomics, come out with some reason financially as to why you can't commit, there should be frustration, because you were willing to spend, especially now, because what did you bid? 40-50 million pounds for Rafinha? That hasn't happened. Theoretically, there's the money that you bid for. You saved, I swear you bid 30 million more for Vlahovic than you paid for Gabriel Jesus. So there's 30 million pound excess there. You were willing to pay 50 odd million pound for Rafinha. You're willing to pay 40 odd million pound for Martinez. And if you don't get Martinez, and you end up with is it I can't remember his name. Ronaldo. If you end up with him, he's a hell of a lot cheaper. You've got all this surplus cash. I don't think Arsenal have got any reason. And I know you're not saying it because you think that's what they have to do. It's more the gut feeling you get. The Cronkies will end up damaging all the goodwill they built up over last season if they scrimp and scrape this summer, because there was talks of 200 million pounds being spent. And if they get nowhere near 150 and the areas aren't covered, especially with what Spurs are doing, I do think Chelsea are going to buy some serious players. Man United will bring in some quality players and will improve. I think Arsenal fans really want that over the line and want to get that done. Another player linked to Arsenal. Now, I want to get your take on this. Because I keep seeing, and in fairness, full disclosure, we've put Serge Gnabry in an Arsenal kit on the thumbnail to talk about it. I keep seeing all the big Arsenal aggregators. There's news out today from the Star and the Sun that Man United, the Arsenal, £40 million will be the asking price to bid. Could go in for Serge Gnabry. Now, we all know that Fabrizio has totally sort of pushed this down and said Arsenal are reportedly not looking at Serge Gnabry at this time. They're saying that City and Man United are. First question I've kind of got is, why do Arsenal fans keep pushing this notion of Gnabry? But there are no links to him. There are all the links. Often when I click on them and you read them, it's based on a fan's tweet or something. It's like
it's an opinion, isn't it? It's I mean, I think it's just we had a player that's gone on and become one of the best players in Europe, and our Arsenal fans are just clinging on to that, to be quite fair. Of course, he loves Arsenal. We've seen Serge Gnabry wearing Arsenal shirts, whilst in Germany and things like that. And I think Arsenal just kind of holding on to that with some kind of false hope that they believe the guy will come back and join. The true fact of the matter is Gnabry's an incredible player. Will come in and improve this team instantly. But if we're looking at the facts, he's not going to take a step back to Arsenal. I think he's already come out in the past maybe 12, 24 months on. I think it was that one show he done with either Chunks or Young Philly or someone like that, and he was asked, "Would you ever go back to Arsenal?" I'm pretty sure his response was no. So, and the amount of money that he would demand is astronomical. I don't think Arsenal will be able to walk off that type of money up, not after slashing the wage bill by 50%. I think they're going to make Gabriel Jesus the highest earner. I think he's on 190, 200k a week. No one's getting any more than that. With someone like Serge Gnabry, he's going to want 300k. I mean, he's already rejecting 300k at Bayern Munich. He wants the next step for Serge Gnabry is going to a team like Real Madrid, possibly Man City. I know Man City have been interested in him, but that's the next step for him. He's definitely not coming back to Arsenal, and Arsenal fans just need to get over it, man. It's the facts.
Listen, I totally agree. And someone here says you put Gnabry bid in your title. Yeah, I did, because they're the headlines and the reports that are circulating. £40 million bid expected. There's going to be no bid, in my opinion, from Arsenal for Serge Gnabry. There's going to be no bid from Man United for Serge Gnabry. This is a player that Bayern Munich want to keep, and I think he's very likely to sign a deal with Bayern Munich. I think a lot of this is posturing. I think a lot of this is the agents kind of throwing it out there that he's, other clubs are interested. Someone like Frenkie de Jong joining Man United can happen because of the connection to the manager. There's a managerial thing there. You've got someone like Gabriel Jesus, who playing time is more important. And equally, there really wasn't a top Champions League team that were going to offer. If a top Champions League team wanted to give a starting berth to Gabriel Jesus, he would have gone there, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Serge Gnabry, if he was legitimately available, as you mentioned, Man City, potentially Real Madrid, you could have PSG, Liverpool. I know Salah just signed a new deal, but Liverpool have kind of got an opening with Mane leaving, Minamino leaving. Those are the clubs at £40 million that would be signing Serge Gnabry. I think teams like Manchester United and all these reports I keep seeing of bids here, bids there, I would eat my hat live on air, a bit of salt and pepper on it, if Man United or Arsenal have the ability to bring him in. I just think he would be so sought after that we might put a bid in, but we are being told point blank, no, absolutely no. In the same way, by the way, if at the 11th hour in this De Jong deal, PSG put in an official bid and offering the same wages as Man United, he's going PSG. United fans have got to remember that, that's another reason why I think he personally delayed it, just to see if anything else comes. We remember Ozil doing that, even when he'd done his personal terms of Arsenal, done his medical. All those reports, he sat around waiting because there was rumours Man United were going to come in. That was still in the Fergie days. Players do this all the time. It isn't new. We hate hearing it about our own club, but it's the truth. Yeah, these Gnabry rumours, again, I see Man United fans, a bit like Arsenal fans, start to kind of get excited. Really sort of pushing this kind of weird notion that, I think we're going to do it. I think we might do that. I just look at it and think you're crazy. Like, without being rude,
Absolutely.
you're absolutely crazy if you think a player in Gnabry's position is going to Man United or Arsenal right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody else, if there was no interest, if he was last year of his contract, Bayern weren't going to renew, and nobody else wanted him, then maybe, just maybe if Mikel Arteta had managed him for 3 years at Bayern Munich and loved each other, then there's a chance. If you get where I'm coming from. I can't. It's one of those ones where I just sort of, I get fans, they get hung up on it. United fans not as much as Gooners because there's that connection there. But this is just one of those deals where I think the reason I wanted to kind of talk about it on the stream was very much there's just no chance, absolutely none. And I think that and there's been no credible link. There hasn't been one single credible journalist that has said that United or Arsenal are even looking or monitoring or keeping tabs on the situation. Like, there's been absolutely nothing at all, in my opinion. Some comments here. This is from John C. that says we were keen on Zinchenko, now Martinez. I think Edu and Arteta know what they are doing, and something will come out of left field again, like Vieira.
Yeah. I think he definitely has a point. I think they have a clear understanding of what they want to do. And I think, like I said earlier, I think we've moved on from Martinez. We haven't been told by the mainstream media that we have. There's talks about having that conversation next week, having chats with Ajax or whoever it is next week, or this week. But I don't believe that. I think Arsenal have kind of moved on. They've realised that they've probably been advised by the representatives that he's not really wanting to play at left back. Man United are interested, and then Arsenal have kind of thought to themselves, you know what, our Ten Hag relationship, you know what, I think that's going to happen. That's going to be the likelier case. So guess what? We're going to move on. We're going to preempt this. We're going to look at Ronaldo. We've got a relationship with Benfica already, 7-8 million, done deal, should be easy for Arsenal to kind of get done. And then we're just going to move on from him. And then he probably will become a Man United player. There's opportunity for him to play. He's going to be playing in Europa League as well. He's back with his old manager, who he won a number of things with. The best days of his career so far. He's a Man United player.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's fun. Look, I think Arsenal will do some more business. I agree with that completely. Jay here says, I want Cristiano Ronaldo to stay because those players deserve a kick up their A. They are not good enough mentality, talent-wise. They are up there, and they freeway Cristiano Ronaldo leaves. Listen, I don't think they're going to get a free ride with Erik ten Hag, if I'm being absolutely honest. And I think that, again, people have got to read these reports in full. There is an element here that I think Ronaldo could stay, by the way. And that's when you actually read these reports. A lot of what's now being said around Ronaldo wanting to leave is fairly old. This was all before he'd sat and spoke with Erik ten Hag.
Yeah.
Equally in the calls, he said he thinks Ten Hag's the right guy to take Manchester United forward. He thinks that they're going to move back in the right direction. He's just 37 and hasn't got the time. Like, 37 years old, you can't be at the beginning of a new transition. You need to go somewhere where you can win right now. I just think the bit I'm unhappy with is the whole, it's because of the transfer window. Yes, we could have got a player or two maybe a week or so earlier, but we're going to sign some good players this summer. Like, United fans have got to relax.
Yeah.
SB here says apparently Barca would have to pay him 35 million next season with and money owed. He's under no obligation to take a wage cut, but they have said he has to if he stays. They want him out. And it's funny that that's said there by the commenter, because one of the sources in Barcelona has alluded today to the fact that what they feel they're doing now at Barca is they're setting up this whole narrative. So when he leaves, a lot of Barca fans are angry he's going. But they can sell the narrative of, we wanted him to stay, but he just wanted the money, people. It's very obvious that PR they're setting up it. Say he left for the money, he left for the money, he left for the money. Because that's what everyone said all summer, he ain't going to go United. If he goes United, it will turn to, he only went for the money. That's just the obvious.
Another thing with Barcelona, I mean, they are pretty congested with the amount of centre midfielders that they have anyway. So I think De Jong, there's more of an opportunity at Man United for De Jong to actually really get his nails in and really become the heartbeat of that team. With Barcelona, you've got players in the centre of the park. They've just signed Frenkie as well. So there's going to be less minutes and less wages for a player. I think he's going to really contemplate that and look at Ten Hag and be like, you know what, we're coming to England. And I think he will be a Man United player. It's just a matter of time, to be quite fair.
Look, I hope so. Gal says on the poll we put out, why would he take a pay cut with laughing emojis? And Gun of Soul says, because he wants to stay at Barca. Even Dembele is taking one. And he might do. But the point on Dembele is Dembele had no deal remaining. De Jong has 4 years left. I just had someone send me a message and 35 million in deferred income. Like, because again, if he leaves, it's a bit like Gerard Piqué. If Gerard Piqué retired this summer, they had no obligation to pay him that money. So they were asking him to retire, and he's like, "No, I want my money."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a Barca legend in Gerard Piqué doing that. Like, De Jong is not going to love Barca more than Piqué, in my humble opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, you're banging the money, man.
Let's do some more of your comments that are coming through. Any questions that you've got, send them in, people. Please make sure you're smashing them like and them share buttons right now. We're closing in on 1,000 likes again, which is good. The Arsenal Blueprint says Spurs making waves. What have you made of Spurs' window?
I mean, they're on it, aren't they? They're not waiting around. You know, Conte's getting his first real window, first real opportunity to establish his identity on this team. I know he's been there for 6 months, and we have to be real, take my Arsenal cap off. He's done a tremendous job at Tottenham. They were, 9-10 points behind us when he took over, and look what they've done. But you know, their players, I mean, they're getting a lot of bants online. You know what the Arsenal fans are like always. Perisic, he's 52 years old. Listen, Perisic is a winner. Perisic has been winning with Inter Milan. He's been winning with Bayern Munich. You know, he's someone with experience, and he will be an influence on the players that they have over there. You know, I think Conte knows what he's doing. He's bringing the right type of profile in to kind of give them more, you know, solidity and stability in their team. So, you know, Richarlison, good player. I wanted him at Arsenal. I can't lie. You know, the goals that he scored past Arsenal this season, they beat us 2-1, but he got 2 goals that were offside, which I thought were goals, to be quite fair. But you know, Richarlison's an aggressive player, someone that we need at Arsenal. But good signing for them. And Basuma, I mean, that blew a lot of people away. I think a lot of Arsenal fans, they turned sour after the signing, but before the signing, they were all over Basuma. You know, tagging Arsenal. They wanted him badly. And then they start talking about this, that, the other with the court case, which has been thrown out for him.
And bro, listen, I don't know about you. We grew up pretty much in the same place. When you any crime anyone's been arrested for, when you hear there's 0 bail conditions, you're like, well, it can't be that serious then. Yeah. Like when I read about 4 weeks ago, there's no bail conditions. My first instant was this is getting thrown out then, because
it's not serious.
Any serious crime, there are proper serious bail conditions.
Yeah, like, exactly.
I had a friend who had a fight in a walnut pub in Leytonstone. Just fight with another guy. His bail conditions were as long as your arm. Places he could go, things he had to do. If he saw the person where he had to go, the fact that Basuma had none, I'm like, yeah. And Spurs were going to do it was easy to get round. I said this all the time as well. It was easy to get round. All you had to do as a buying club is say, listen, we want full disclosure and to be showing everything in the case, the prosecution stuff, your things, so we can make a decision. If Basuma held that back, Spurs wouldn't have said yes. Like, if he's got nothing to hide, let him see, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
It's what Sunderland should have done before they carried on playing. What's his name? Adam Johnson. There we go. Yeah. Erin here says, Terry, do you think that we will get the Ligt deal done? The Ligt to Chelsea is such an interesting one because there's big reports. I read a report earlier today out of Italy, and I want to read it here. And it said that Juve are pushing hard to sign Koulibaly to be the Ligt's replacement. So Juve are working on a replacement. I think Chelsea will get. I've got a gut feeling that Chelsea will get the Ligt over the line. I think personal terms are going to be no problem. They've already been discussed. They know what they'd pay him. He's happy to join. He really wants Tuchel as well, because Tuchel, he improves defenders so much. He makes average defenders look brilliant.
Very, very good.
And good. Look, listen, I don't think Rudiger is going to be as good at Real Madrid as he was at Chelsea. I think that was the Tuchel effect, really and truly. But we shall see. Richarlison is a great signing. Deluded if you think otherwise. I think he's a good sign. I think 60 million is a little bit excessive, but well, 50 plus 10. But we will see. Like, listen, we've seen players.
He's a good player, man. He's a good player. He's very, very aggressive. He's definitely going to add something to Tottenham's front line. You know, they've already got Kulusevski, Son, and Kane. I mean, them two go without saying, but they've got, you know, you have, from an Arsenal perspective, you know, from my perspective, taking my Arsenal cap off, they've got a great They've got a great front line there, very, very dangerous. And
Mm.
Conte, being an experienced manager, he took players from the Premier League before, players that we would have looked at and been like, right, he's never getting into our team. He took those players and went and won the league over in Italy. So clearly, he knows what he's doing. He knows what type of profile he's looking for, and I think based on the players that he signed, you can't go wrong. Do you know what I mean?
I think on top of that as well, which should be standout to people, is this guy was winning league titles with Victor Moses as a fullback.
This is what I'm saying. Victor Moses, actually young when he passed his peak. He was one. Come on, man.
110%. Ronald here says Cucurella news has died down. What's happening? The last I heard about Cucurella was very much City need to sell and move a few players on, and a lot of that will be obviously the Gabriel Jesus isn't official. It isn't. They want it announced. When that's announced, Raheem Sterling's another one as an example, and there's a couple more kind of fringy players. They're going to move some people out and then bring people in, because despite there only being one of the top six who gets lauded for having to sell before they buy, all clubs have to sell before they buy to some degree, and for multiple reasons. So Cucurella still very likely to go to Man City. They're leading the race, very advanced in all areas. A player will join, no problem. It's just about clearing the decks really and balancing those books. Terry, do you think Man United and Arsenal would be able to challenge Spurs and Chelsea for third and fourth positions next season, irrespective of how good or poor their transfer windows are?
Good question.
I mean, that's a weird question, because irrespective, let's just say we go into the season with the same squads as last year, but Spurs and Chelsea improved their squads. No,
Yeah, exactly.
like we both. But I think both Arsenal and Man United have to improve their squads. United one's really difficult because we don't know how good or bad a job Ten Hag is going to. If Ten Hag gets us playing as well as Ajax did, then even without players, we're going to improve very, very much. With the right players, we could be not a dangerous team in terms of challenging, but we'll be a good team next year. Arsenal, I mean, how well do you expect Arsenal to do next year, Wax?
I mean, it all depends on who we can bring in. Because if we bring in the right characters, then I'm hearing that Mikel Arteta will change his system to a 4-3-3. And I can assume with that we'll be a bit more attacking and playing a bit more direct with how we're playing. But yeah, like I said, it all depends on the players that we do bring in. If we go in with the window that we've just done, Fabio Vieira, Jesus, Matt Turner, the guys that we've just signed now, I think we potentially will struggle. I think where we are now in the league, or roughly around that area, 6th, maybe 7th, even up to 8th, that's where we could potentially finish if we don't. But with the right players, I think we can test, and push for top 4. To be quite fair, I was saying, on my channel a few weeks ago, that all the players that we have been linked with, if we did get, Rafinha, which is obviously not going to happen, and Tielemans and Martinez and all these names that we've talked about, I'm saying, you know what, I want Arsenal to challenge. Now, that doesn't mean I make Arsenal favourites, but I want Arsenal to challenge. I want Arsenal to take advantage of any hiccups that Liverpool and Man City are making, and really just be up their asses throughout the whole season. I don't want us to be sitting 8th, we jumped to 4th, then we're back to 7th, I want us to be really in a title challenge, and hopefully a team hicks up, loses a game, we're consistent, we continue with the momentum, and we win those games. Then anything can happen, but that's obviously based on those players obviously signing for the club. But without them, I think we'll finish 5th, 6th, 7th, or thereabouts. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what I think? Again, if you bought a different Rafinha now, so you spent that money on an equally gifted player, Martinez comes in, as you've mentioned, Tielemans is over the line. I think you're right to talk about challenging to a degree in terms of, for large parts of the season, keeping up with those teams. And I also think another element for me, again, Man United's expectations are different next year because we're starting again from the beginning, but by halfway through next season, I want us to be competitive in games against fellow top 6 teams. The way we performed, barring against Arsenal, the way we performed I know we beat Spurs and Arsenal, but the way we competed against City and Liverpool, the way we were just so behind the ball and countered against Chelsea. Chelsea should have battered us in the league game at Old Trafford towards the end of the season as well, to be fair. I can't believe they didn't. They just missed so many chances. I don't want that anymore. And in fact, I saw us this season get outplayed for large parts of the game at home against Norwich. Like, it's about how we play. But Arsenal, it's different. Arsenal, you're going into, like, I've seen Gunners very regularly compare Mikel Arteta and the rebuild he's doing to Jurgen Klopp. Well,
Yeah,
when if you go and look what Jurgen Klopp was about to do when he was going into his third, what he did in his third full season, well, then what you can't do is a good, like, and I'm not talking about all Arsenal fans, but if you're an Arsenal fan that's kind of stuck to this, we've got to give him time and time and time. Look what Klopp did. Look what this team did. You know, finding all the examples that took 2 or 3 years to challenge. You're moving into that realm now. Remember, Arteta said this was a season where you were going to win the Champions League.
Yeah,
like,
but they've been in the Champions League.
And that's not a dig, but if you get those players, the expectations have got to be sky high. And a lot of people go, oh, you only want that so that if it fails, you can say that he should be sacked. Well, yes, but when you sack Arteta, you're in a good position still because you've got a squad that's ready. Like, it's if you get the squad 100% right this summer, you're in a win-win situation. You either go on and start winning and challenging, or the manager isn't good enough. You bring in a better manager and you go on and start challenging.
Exactly.
Like, if you're a Gooner right now, like, Arteta doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Arsenal Football Club does.
Exactly. And this is what I always reiterate and tell people, because there's so many people that have fallen in love with Arteta and their focus and their energy is all on Arteta. And I understand it to a certain degree. You want the manager to be successful. But, you know, if you look at Arteta over the past, 3 years that he's been at Arsenal, you can see that there's a lot of inconsistencies. And like you said, if we build the right team, we build the foundation of that team and it's strong, it's there for the next manager. A lot of people have this idea of, oh, well, if we bring a new manager in, we're going to have to rebuild the squad again. No, we don't. It's already been built. It's there. Thank you, Arteta. You can't take us over the line. This manager can, but we've got the foundation already there. Of course, a manager is going to want to add their little sprinkle to that foundation, 1 or 2 players here or there. But come on, everything is ready to go. We just need a manager to take us to that next destination. Do you know what I mean?
No, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Comment here says points over system. Terry wanting style of play over substance. Well, that's a really weird thing to accuse me of, because you watch the Football Terrace every day. You watch every video and every stream that I do, and you have done for at least 4 or 5 years. So you know that I'm a substance over style person. That isn't what I said, and you know that's not what I've said. But I will reiterate for anyone that's new. Reiterate for anyone that's new to the terrace. I want to see the style of football straight away. But the football being pretty doesn't mean I would be happy to lose. I've heard football fans for years say, oh, I'd rather lose playing well than win playing badly. No, that's mental. However, what I want is there to be sustainability in how we play, continual improvements, and know that eventually we're going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the big boys, toe-to-toe with the best teams in Europe with that style of play, of course, adding better players over a 2 or 3 year period. But of course, you've got to win. If we look really good this year but end up with less points than last season, it's a rank failure of a campaign. But there is no way that Ten Hag makes us play better football, creates better structure, makes the players better, and we yield less points. For me, like, that is never going to happen. It's almost an impossibility. So nice try, Perry, but that didn't quite work out there for you, my old mate. Nice try, though.
I think, you know what, with Ten Hag's not going to... I've seen a lot of people online suggest that Ten Hag's going to fail. I don't think that's the case. If you look at his numbers for Ajax, and I know it's the Eredivisie and it's an easier league, but if you look, and it's all, I mean, the numbers are based on the way they're playing and then the style of play that they're deploying. If you look at the numbers, over 500 goals in less than 200 games for Ajax, I mean, that is incredible. And it goes to show, if you look at the numbers as well, they're getting a lot of clean sheets. Martinez was a major part of that as well. Hence why I believe that Ten Hag's probably going to get him at Man United. And as long as he's got that guy in the middle, which should be Jong, that can dictate and feed balls and, find the runners and link up with the likes of Ronaldo, the Sanchos, the Fernandezes, I think he's got something. And I think potentially Man United will be pushing for the top 4, because you lot have got a good team, man. When you strip it back, you've got some dead wood. There are players that need to go. But you've got a strong team. You've got a good foundation for a manager to build on. They just need to add the few gems that he wants to bring in, and there we go. Man United's back again.
I agree. Man United's team is not as far away as people make out. It's a great comment here. I remember Neeks and Terry hating on Pep's style of football. And again, see, you're going to interpret that as hate. Never hated his style. I said that peak Barcelona I found boring because they were so good. And I said the games were boring, not the style of football. So again, David, Nice try. I'll give you an example. Floyd Mayweather was so good, most of his fights weren't exciting. It's not best. Not. I didn't say Floyd Mayweather is a bad fighter. Ricky Hatton wasn't as good as him, but Ricky Hatton's fights were more exciting. Therefore, people remember them a lot more. I'm talking from a British fight point of view. That's just the nature of the beast, David. So, again, nice try there. On your point around Man United, last season, we finished. This is what's crazy, right? We finished in the end quite a way behind top four. It was like 12 points. But when you look back at some of those games and the teams that we were dropping points to and the way that we played in them, we weren't a million miles. Even the game where you guys beat us towards the end of the season, like that could have gone United's way if a penalty went in. Like there was loads of those games where you could see no fight, no nothing. This team just working hard. Forget new system and passing drills. Just working hard will generate 12, 13 points more next season than this year.
100%.
That already puts the team into the low 70s. Then if you add an extra 6 to 9 points because of the manager and the system and the new players, you're then talking high 70s, maybe low 80s. That's how I wouldn't, if Man United, I'm expecting the team to hit high 70, low 80 points next year minimum. And that's because I think they've got a squad already that's good enough to do that with the right coach and manager. And that then you're only talking about being 10 to 12 points away from City and Liverpool as of last season. We aren't that bad. This is a Man United team that's beaten those teams in recent years with a worse manager. It's to just we have this tendency to do this as football fans. We just go, right, that's it. It's a write-off. Everyone's done. Everyone's finished. You listen, Bruno will be back next year. Bruno Fernandes will be firing all guns blazing next year.
Of course he will.
And he had a bad season last year and still had 25 goal contributions. Like, it was ridiculous. Yeah. Like, he'll be back. And just him, I think Rashford will score again. I think Martial might have a resurgence. I'm excited to see Donny van de Beek with the manager.
You've got ballers. You've got good players, man. And all Man United need is a manager that can come in, kick them up the arse and say, you know what, get your shit in order, let's go. Here's a system, here's a style. This is how we're playing. And I think literally Ten Hag needs, why he's pushing for De Jong so much, he just needs that centre midfielder. You don't have that in Fred, you don't have that in McTominay. Good players, but they're just not the playmaking type players that you would want. You know what I mean? You need someone that can really control the game. Do you know what I mean?
I get that. David here says, I want United fans to complain about, you're saying if we play Ten Hag style, we dominate the ball and dominate the games and they're not competitive, we should hate it. So there's a difference. I dislike watching the spectacle of a lot of Barca games with Pep because I didn't care who won. When my team plays, I don't care how boring it is. I don't care how annoying it is for everybody else. My team, all I want is my team to win. So you're never going to get that same energy. It's different, my guy. Like, you're never going to get that energy. Like, I don't watch Man United per se to be entertained. Like, I'd like to be entertained, but the entertainment for me, I want winning games in the last minute. Like a close game where it could go either way. You score a last-minute winner. You never get an adrenaline rush more than that. But I want every game to be 3-0 at halftime and then a bore fest in the second half with no stress. I don't care how the viewers...
Just controlling possession, literally.
What you want for your own team and what you want from other games. Like when you watch a top 6 clash, your team's not in. What we really want is open, flowing football, goals at both ends, bit of a tear up, red card there. When it's your team... You don't want that. You want to control the ball. You want them to have no chances. People are weird like that. Like, I want you to be. No, it doesn't make sense. Don't work that way. There we go. But there we go. Listen, Wax, absolute pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Viewers, please smash the like button before you leave. Back tomorrow with more content. Top 6 show in the evening as usual. Around 6 p.m. we'll be going live. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye.